Thank you, Secretary General Bandar. The Arab countries and the United Kingdom share a long history together. But today, in 2019, what does that shared vision look like, given everything that's changed over this long history? And how can we strengthen that shared vision that we both share? Who better to answer that question than our distinguished panel? And I'd like to welcome, firstly, His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Aboul Gheit, who served as Secretary General of the Arab League since 2016. As many of you know also, he served as Egypt's Minister for Foreign Affairs from 2004 to 2011 and was also Egypt's permanent representative to the United Nations. Your Excellency, tfaddal.
Good morning, Sabah al-Khair. And if I may speak in Arabic, since I am the Secretary General of the League of Arab.
I'm going to speak in Arabic as a Secretary General of the Arab League. So,
Baroness
Simon, dear brother Bandar Ali Murad Reda, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and I see faces I know very well, and I know, and other personalities which deserve all respect. I would like in the beginning to thank all who played a part in the preparation of this conference to come out in this honorable way. It's really honorable. And also I praise the cooperation and coordination between all parties. My understanding is the shared vision and working together is the only way to make those meetings successful. Especially the axis of this conference studies many important subjects, which is enforcing investments, improving investments, sustainable development, water security, the dramatic changes in the banking and financial sectors, in addition to other important subjects, which is very important for this summit. In fact, it's not easy to look at the full picture of the economy and development in the Arab area. This picture is interconnected and complex, and it includes dangers and some weakening points, and also includes potentials and points for success, especially if when we talk today in 2019, we don't forget that this region has been through developments, huge developments. Governments have fallen, countries had fallen. There was a big shock, economic, political, and social shock in this area, massive one. Some of them called it Arab Spring, but I call it the destruction. I call it destruction. Unfortunately, that all was reflected on the potentials of those countries, the economic powers of those countries. In fact, there is tries in many countries in the area to try to change the Arab potentials to equation of success. It's important to say that we see the recognition of governments and people that development and economic success are very important and vital for our countries to achieve progress. This area, the Gulf area, all the GCC countries, they're flying, as they say. There is also Morocco moving fast. Also Egypt, which is seeing lots of achievements, unprecedented achievements in its history. From here, it comes the importance of this summit because it's like an important launcher which gathers British and Arab people to think together to how to face challenges facing them in this world, particularly on the economic and development side, and also to exchange expertise and information in many subjects and vital points, which is considered as a priority for the two sides, the Arab and the British, which is fintech and also sustainable development, renewable energy, and also
and enabling the youth, which is a main demand in this Arab area, to remove unemployment, which is a main demand in the Arab area. There is no less than 100 million young people in the Arab world, which is about, its population is about 832 million, among which 100 million who are less than 25 years of age. So there is strong demand for employment and job opportunities. A country like Egypt, and I'll speak about Egypt because I am an Egyptian, they need to create 800,000 to 1 million job opportunities for young people every year. These demands are so pressing on these societies. There's no doubt that today's summit is an important chance to have to have partnership between the Arabs and the British, so that we can exchange expertise and the best practices. So they lay the foundation for economic projects and development projects which can achieve both goals of the Arabs and British sides. The Arab area still needs the expertise and experiences in many areas related to achieving sustainable development in all aspects relative to economic, environmental, and so on. Also, the British side needs also pumping new the vital aspects in their economy, and I think that the promising Arab market is a very important market for the British companies. It's not only as a consuming market, it's also a place to share a lot of projects which are like energy and information technology and so on. Here, I should say that what we read and follow up about the Brexit and the exit of Britain from the European Union, if they exit. Consequently, I believe that there is need in Britain to extend their hands also to this area to build bridges for investment and financial cooperation. In this, there is a mutual benefit both for the Arab side, which needs this expertise with British, and also for the British side, which is looking for partners, new partners, among which the Arabs, of course. This is taken into consideration the old experience, vast historic experience of Britain in their relations with this area and their population and their leaders. In this context, I should refer to the report sent by the Arab Organization for Exports that there is a better attraction of the Arab markets with respect to investments in 2018 compared with the index of 2017. The Arab countries are now the fourth rank among 7 geographic groups for the 5th year, which means there is an attractive investment environment which helps to attract more investments to this area. In this context, also, I should reiterate that the Arab countries are seeking and working always to prepare the best environment for investment in the Arab area, because there is now work to prepare a new agreement for investment in Arab countries in order to accommodate the new developments on the economic side in the world, and also accommodating modern concepts like the sustainable development and the fourth industrial revolution, and also the technology, and also to remove all the obstacles that face Arab investors and foreign investors, and promote them to increase their investments in the Arab area. The agenda of the meetings today, the working group meetings, will discuss many important issues, as I said before. Before I finish this presentation, I would like for a moment to focus on one of the axes of this summit, which is the water axis. The Arab area is facing really difficulties because of the shortage of water, which this area is suffering from, which is a result of difficulties related to many factors, among which is the increase in the population, which is 2%, which is the highest increase in population in the world, and also the climate change, which also makes it very hard to face this situation. Here, I should also say that not to speak about the Israel's the practices facing the Palestinians. Israel, who is preventing Palestinians now at this moment from enjoying and using their water and the underground water. Also in the Syrian Golan, the occupied Syrian Golan, which is also suffering like the Palestinian territories, where the Israel is preventing farmers from having water which is needed for agriculture. I speak about this issue because it's one of the issues put forward in the agenda and seminars of this summit. In this context, I should also point out that the Arab League has accommodated the first joint meeting of the ministers of water and agriculture since 2014 in order to liaise the efforts of those responsible for water and agriculture, so that we achieve the security of water and food security. I am confident that what will result from this summit, the results will be important and vital in pushing forward the sustainable development in the Arab area, and also to achieve the goal that we are all seeking, which is to developing the economic relation and trade and investment relation and the friendly relations between both sides, the Arab and the British sides. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Can I just check that my lapel mic is on? Thank you. Our next speaker, Mr. George Hollingbery, has served as Minister of State for Trade Policy at the Department for International Trade since 2018, and also previously held various posts under Prime Minister Theresa May and David Cameron. Mr. Hollingbery, please.
Well, good morning to all of you, and it was very sobering, I think, to follow those wise and frank words from the Secretary-General, which gave a real context to the discussions that we're going to be undertaking today. But before I go any further, I should say good morning, and I should welcome you all on behalf of the British government to the Arab-British Economic Summit. Now, I bring with me the apologies of the Secretary of State for International Trade, Liam Fox. I know Dr. Fox was looking forward to coming today, and of course looking forward to following up his visit to Iraq in April to Egypt, to Morocco and Tunisia in May, and not to mention his visit just last week, to the Expo 2020 in Dubai. And I know he's disappointed not to be able to join you today. So my apologies to all for the fact that you're left with the second-string quarterback. My sincere thanks to the Arab-British Chambers of Commerce for their invitation to take his place and for putting this together, and of course particularly to Secretary-General Reda in particular. He, as we've heard already, has been inspirational in this round of talks. Thank you to the Council of Arab Ambassadors, the various delegations from across the Middle East and North Africa, and British businesses for their support and attendance today. Now, this summit is being held for a very simple reason. From North Africa through the Maghreb to Eastern Mediterranean and the Gulf, the Arab-British relationship really matters. That is what the shared vision of this conference, building sustainable and strong relationships between the UK and the Arab League countries, is all about. Indeed, the presence of so many distinguished delegations here shows the importance that is attached to trading relations with the UK. This follows a series of ministerial visits, both outwards by UK ministers to Arab League countries, and inward visits to the UK by distinguished leaders from across the Arab region. As a matter of fact, our Prime Minister last week received Barham Salih, the President of Iraq. Now, these visits are, of course, underpinned by practical support from the UK's international trade experts working in markets across the Arab region to grow our trading relationships on a day-to-day business. I know many of you will already have met Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner Simon Penny. He is leading our drive across the Middle East to realise the UK's trade and investment ambitions to boost export growth, bilateral investment and open up all markets. And he'll be addressing you later today. But just in case anyone's leaving early, or anybody, God forbid, hasn't met Simon already. Simon, are you in the house at the moment? There he is. This is your main man in region. He is the expert from our side of the fence on all matters to do with the Arab world and is making great progress in that regard. Please do seek him out if you don't get a chance to hear him later today. At the Department for International Trade, we are keen to develop our mutually beneficial partnerships further, developing solutions to tomorrow's challenges, and particularly in the sectors we're discussing today: infrastructure, development, energy, global markets, agriculture, entrepreneurship and finance. Infrastructure is a sector in which the UK has a world-class reputation, with experience, skills and expertise ranging from planning, engineering and project management to providing advisory services such as legal and accountancy. For example, Bombardier Transport UK is now leading on a £3 billion monorail project in Egypt. Our energy sector is developing some remarkable projects taking place across the Arabic region, from sustainable oil and gas projects to deployment of renewable technologies and localisation of supply. Shell, for example, has created some 1,000 jobs across Tunisia. BP has made major commitments, such as its $13 billion investment in Egypt's West Nile Delta. In Morocco, there is the Noor concentrated solar power plant, which is partially funded by climate change investment funds, to which the UK is the largest contributor. And then there is the UAE clean energy company, Masdar, which has been working with UK firm PaveGen to create a walkway at Dubai International Airport that generates electricity as people walk on it. There is also the UK's tech system, this whole ecosystem that underlies this industry for us, unrivalled access across Europe, and with the talent, location and language for entrepreneurs to scale and grow a tech business, from artificial intelligence to cybersecurity to the Internet of Things. The latest figures from the consultancy TechNation show the UK once again attracted an unprecedented amount of investment in our technology sector last year. Scale-up tech investment was 2.5 times higher than expected based on the relative size of the UK economy. Total venture capital investment in 2018 topped £6 billion sterling, more than any other European country. And I would just add here that I think what is becoming apparent to us, at least in the DIT, that Brexit or otherwise, London and the UK is the world capital of tech. Brexit, I think, is not going to affect this market meaningfully. London is where you come to grow a tech startup. Of course, at the heart of this success is education, bridging barriers of country, of language and politics, nurturing new ideas and spurring innovation. And here, once again, the UK has a great deal to offer. British institutions and firms are working with schools and other educational organisations across the Arab region to help foster talent and life skills. And of course, this is where young people can start contributing to society at an early age. So for the mission of this year's presidency of the Chamber, the mission to deal with the lives of young people, the British educational offer can be a really key part. In Egypt, for example, there are around 80 UK higher education institutions with some form of partnership, such as Coventry University, which is opening a branch campus in the new capital in September. Universities here in the UK include 4 of the world's top 10, as rated by QS, are at the heart of an innovative commercial environment in which businesses and universities collaborate to develop and commercialise new cutting-edge products. So there's already so much we're partnering on, but we want to do more. The UK is an ideal place from which to grow and internationalise Arab firms, with the ability to set up new companies within 48 hours, one of the lowest rates of corporation tax in the G20, and of course Europe's leading financial centre with a deep, accessible and liquid capital pool for growing your firms. Fintech helps address the needs of underserved markets, tying together an increasingly interconnected world. And once again, the UK is setting the pace. Ranked number 1 globally for the strength of our fintech ecosystem, outpacing rival centres like Singapore and Silicon Valley. An increasing number of Arab region fintech firms are using the UK as their global hub. Recently, this has included significant investment from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund through SoftBank's $100 billion Vision Fund, as well as capital investments in the digital bank Oak North of $390 million. And we are taking this success further afield with our Global Entrepreneur Programme. This is our flagship initiative to help innovative startups and early-stage tech firms relocate their businesses to the UK to access this world-class ecosystem. This has already helped raise over £1 billion of private venture capital and angel investment across more than 1,000 companies who have relocated here to London. Across so many sectors, the United Kingdom and countries across the Arab regions have complementary strengths. Pairing your potential, dynamism and entrepreneurial spirit with the experience, tech know-how, global capital pool and regulatory framework of the UK benefits all of our economies. There is a great deal of potential on which to build, and today's summit is an important step on the path towards realising that future as we reach out to forge new economic relationships our country needs to thrive as a truly global Britain. But for now, I just want to leave you with one key message. Her Majesty's Government and the Department for International Trade is ready and willing to help and encourage any UK company to trade across the Middle East and North Africa, and companies based there to access the goods, services and expertise of the UK. Our services range from practical help and advice to an index of opportunities and suppliers, to financial support from our world-leading credit export agency, UK Export Finance, to getting your project off the ground. Celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, UKEF has the capacity to provide billions of pounds worth of support for UK exports of goods and services and investments across Arab countries. For example, just this April, we were able to double the total support available in Iraq to an additional $1 billion. I should say sterling. This includes providing guarantees in local currencies, so local companies buying from the UK can now finance purchases in their own currencies. So we're here to help companies like the ones here today to get the most out of our economic relationships and to create a trading environment that supports the mutual prosperity that comes from international trade. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today, and hope that the discussions you have here are fruitful. I'm absolutely sure they will be. And just close by saying this. Our mutual future is filled with opportunity. The only limit to our success will be the scale of our ambitions.
Thank you, Mr. Hollingbery. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker, His Excellency Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Zayani, has been Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council since 2011, and he's also the very first Secretary General of the GCC with a military background, serving as a Lieutenant General in Bahrain. Your Excellency, thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful.
Since you've already mentioned that I have the military background, so I will start with an apology. I was asked by the organizers to prepare my notes in English. And being an ex-soldier, I had to say, we'll go out and execute the order. So my remarks, with all apologies, will be in English. Baroness Simons, Honourable Lord of London, Your Excellency the Minister, Your Excellency Ahmed Aboul Gheit, Your Excellency Mr. Alghanim, Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, I'm most grateful for the invitation to be here. Thank you for asking me to say a few words at the start of this important summit. It is my pleasure also to meet Mr. Bender Ali Rada for the first time, and I wish him every success as Secretary General and Chief Executive Officer of the Arab-British Chamber of Commerce, an institution which has particular relevance today as we look to the future, connect and develop the business and commercial interests between the United Kingdom and the Arab nations. Ladies and gentlemen, now I must thank all of you for being here. Some I know have traveled a considerable distance, but isn't that what this summit is all about? Human interface, meeting each other, networking and discovering each other's perspectives firsthand, to understand each side's priorities and interests, so that we are already halfway to successful relations and negotiations. I think we can safely say that a lot has gone on since July 2016, when I addressed the GCC British Economic Forum, held under the sponsorship of the Arab-British Chamber of Commerce. At that time, the United Kingdom had just voted to leave the EU, and there was an air of expectation as to what the future might hold. 3 years later, your Prime Minister has resigned, and we wait to hear who will become her successor. But let me assure all of you in this room that whatever happens, the nations of the GCC will continue to treat our friendship with Britain in a seamless manner. Our historical, traditional, cultural, and personal ties go back a long way and would not allow otherwise, nor would we wish for anything else. And in giving this assurance, may I also place on record my thanks to Prime Minister May, who, despite the many other pressing issues in her entree, always found time to be a good and true friend to us. I recall her speech before the GCC UK summit held in Bahrain in December 2016, when she stressed the GCC that, and I quote, "Gulf security is our security. Your prosperity is our prosperity," end of quote. A statement which, if anything, is even more valid today than it was then. Since I spoke last, much has also changed within our region. But the one thing that has not changed is the GCC vision, which is to achieve and maintain prosperity in the widest sense of the word: political, economic, social, and security. That surely is the vision of every nation represented in this room. So when I see the title of this gathering, A Shared Vision, I believe we are all talking about the same thing. How do we build prosperity for our nations? And above all, how do we improve the lives of our citizens? Of course, the creation of wealth through business, commerce, and industry is a major factor. And the secret of doing so lies in two words: understanding and cooperation, which are already central to the extensive and important work of the Arab-British Chamber of Commerce. And as we work toward this goal, we in the Gulf are fortunate that the ABCC, and indeed all of us, can base these efforts on the firm foundations of the extensive bilateral ties between the GCC states and the United Kingdom. And to mention the joint GCC-UK strategic partnership, of which trade and investment is a key component. Indeed, the partnership not only enables us to work systematically to promote cooperation across all sectors, but also encourages us to look beyond our own borders and to work together across a range of shared priorities, including, for example, regional defense and security, terrorism and its financing, radicalization, serious crime, narcotics, cyber and human trafficking. By doing so, in short, we are together trying to encourage a more stable region from which will flow the humanitarian and economic advantages, which will so benefit all of us. Because in today's interconnected world, and with the wealth and ties and interests that we share, it is undoubtedly true that, to echo Prime Minister May, the safer we are, the safer you are. Wealthier we become, the wealthier you become, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, I suspect, is aware of the many challenges confronting Arab states. For the GCC, putting aside security concerns, I believe the greatest issue we face, impacting in all aspects of our lives, is the transition from a life based on an abundance of natural resources to the day when either the resources themselves or the demand for them have dwindled. In the GCC, we are preparing for that day in our own ways and with ambitious national plans, which involve both internal and external investment. But success depends on a total change of mindset, from passive dependence to active innovation, from society in which the public sector is reflexively seen as the main employer to one which nurtures and facilitates a dynamic and forward-thinking private sector, along with a culture of entrepreneurship. And it is here that the demographics of a young and growing population become a genuine asset to our region. For if our societies can harness and dynamize energy and resourcefulness of our young people, then they can lead us into a vibrant new world with technologies and possibilities we could not have dreamed of a few years ago, but which to them are second nature. So we must instill in our young men and women the skills, innovation, and spirit of entrepreneur, the knowledge of science and emerging technology, and the management of skills born of leadership and meritocracy. Only then will our nations be able to compete globally in this new era. Already, the GCC states have made enormous strides towards fully achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals as the bedrock upon which to build for these new opportunities. At the same time, we recognize that there's always more to do, and that there is much that we can understand and gain from others, just as I believe other regions can learn from the experiences and successes of the GCC. When it comes to the UK, for example, there is much we can learn from you in areas such as business startup and cultivating homegrown industries, in particular, small and medium-sized companies. And because the GCC countries share the concern for the environmental sustainability, we are intrigued by the UK's pledge last month to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. UK renewables expertise can undoubtedly make an important contribution to our own domestic renewable energy programs, particularly given our huge natural potential in this area. In exchanging such expertise, much can be learned by our students and young business people attending the UK's world-class educational establishments. But much also can be learned through practical experience. The British companies setting up or already established in the Gulf, and through internships, attachments, and secondments of personnel. And I would encourage this to be a genuine two-way flow, so that we learn not just about jobs and skills, but also about each other's culture and way of life, to truly understand and appreciate our perspectives. Indeed, based on our historic ties of cooperation and friendship, I believe the UK and the GCC are in a unique position to combine our expertise, skills, and experience as we seize new and emerging opportunities. Both the UK and the Gulf are rich with potential. Just as GCC investors are heavily in the UK, so the Gulf has much to offer British companies looking to invest across a wide range of fields. And so, from a GCC perspective, I arrive at what I think should be the core of our shared vision, the concept of complementarity. The recognition that the UK and the Arab world have so much to offer one another. We have a common desire to increase our own citizens' prosperity, combined with a recognition that to be secure and sustainable, such development needs to be expanded regionally and globally. We face challenges that can best be overcome through combining our expertise and knowledge. And we have huge untapped natural, human, and economic resources that can be unlocked to deliver tremendous benefits to both sides. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that these remarks have given an indication of why the GCC remains so keen to further deepen our economic and trade cooperation with the United Kingdom. And I hope also It might enthuse you with a sense of the possible, of the opportunities out there on both sides for those bold and determined enough to achieve them. On that note, I have said enough. I wish you all a productive, successful, and enjoyable summit. Thank you.
Our next speaker, His Excellency Mr. Ali Alghanim, is Chairman of the Kuwait Chamber of Commerce of Industry, today's strategic sponsor, and also the Vice Chairman of the Arab-British Chamber of Commerce, as well as the President of the Federation of Chambers of the GCC. Your Excellency.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, and God praise our Prophet Mohamed. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to apologize. I'll speak to you while sitting because of health issues. Last April, the children of Kuwait were sharing with the children of the UK in celebrating 100 years for the birth of the grandmother of Victoria, Queen Victoria, in last May on the 100 years celebration for the agreement between Britain and Kuwait. Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid said that Britain, under the hard circumstances, has proved that they are a good ally. If I speak to you now as head of the Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I'm speaking about the future of cooperation economically between the UK and Kuwait. But first thing that I should say in this presentation, with all thanks and pride, is my position as the head of as the Arab member of the ABCCC. This speech should be built on the economic relations between the UK and the whole world. This talk should include two facts. First fact, that when we speak about the Arab world, we in some way or another we speak about the Middle East. We know exactly that Arabs in this region have a long history and civilization, and we hope always we have to cooperate with our partners on the basis of respect and peace. When we speak about economic cooperation between Arabs and the UK, it is difficult before the exit and to isolate this cooperation from the cooperation between the Arabs and the UK. The second fact is that the world is living now a big and vital and transformation, which should rely on the historical experience, so that we have to have an innovative thinking from outside the box, as it is said. Within these under these two facts, I will try to provide a briefing about some achievements which I think will have a direct impact on forming the economic relations between the Arabs and Britain. First of all, the oil will still have an important impact, especially because of the abundance and the flow of investments between both sides. And in spite of the expectations that assure that the demand for oil will be 30% more during the next 2 decades, it is difficult to have lower the importance and the impact of oil on the Arabs and Britain, and it's also difficult for Britain to ignore the heavy weight of the Middle East. Secondly, I believe that there is no big crisis in the Middle East and the Arab world, but there is a crisis from this area, so that it puts the whole world in danger. The Arab world is now living hard wars, which caused the biggest humanitarian crisis since the World War II, and this is represented in together with victims and destruction in the collective emigration to most European countries, and this led to changes and reactions on the economic side and social side and political side, which made the Albright report believing that this immigration was the main reason behind the voting of British for Brexit, and this was the reason for the return of extremism in the world arena, because of the in contrast with the freedoms and economic freedoms, especially. It is in the interest of Europe, including Britain, that they should identify the aspects of changes and risks which the Arab world is passing through, and they should cooperate with them with understanding and justice, and it's also in the interest of Europe and the Arab world to invest these issues of immigration and security to reiterate the economic cooperation. Thirdly, the world trade is facing the biggest danger since its initiation, which is what Mr. Liam Foss has said. There is a crisis of borders, and the trade protectionism is one of the most dangerous dangers for Britain and the Arab world, because the trade wars do not only hurt their parties, but it destroys the whole world economy. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, in spite of the difficulty and complication of the present circumstances in the Arab world, I should reiterate that this issue cannot remain, and if the Arabs themselves have to work seriously to finish their disagreements and improve their situation, the international community also and the European countries have a lot of interests directly, and they have ethical duties and historical duties, not only to address this crisis, but also to return the whole region into the right track. Arabs have huge and rich resources, and have a strategic location, which is very important. The biggest wealth for Arabs is the human resources, which is a big tank, which if they are given good education, and we have seen this in the past, and also we've seen events like in the Arab Spring countries. This was the difficult entrance for building modern societies. The other thing is the Arab world today knows exactly that the private sector has a main role in development, and they also know that the importance of foreign investments and the importance of creating job opportunities is important. And also the Arab world knows the difficult experience of the link between education and employment, and also the relation between poverty and corruption. The cooperation between the Arab world and the international community is, and in front of which is Britain, who has big expertise and main interests in the area. This will lead to rise of a new Arab world, and also it should be a big mover of the Arab world. It is not just an area of disorder, and it is full of opportunities, and identifying these opportunities is the goal of this conference, which is organized by the ABCCC. At last, we Arabs know exactly that work is not is not a work on its own. We know exactly that those who are security has a strategic importance. So thank you very much, and I apologize for sitting.
Alderman Peter Estlin, the Right Honourable, the Lord Mayor of the City of London, is actually the 691st Lord Mayor of the City of London, which gives you a little sense of history of how old the financial services sector here is. The Lord Mayor travels the world and has some meetings locally sometimes as well, like he's doing today, but he travels the world promoting the UK's financial services sector. Lord Mayor.
Well, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to join you today, and my thanks to the organising team and new Secretary-General for what promises to be a fascinating summit. As Lord Mayor, I am an international spokesman for the UK's financial and professional services. It is an opportunity for me here today to celebrate the economic ties between the UK and specifically the City of London and Arab countries, to discuss how we can further strengthen the bonds between us in the coming years. Now, some of you in this room may be more familiar with the city than others. That's partly because I've visited the Gulf region twice as Lord Mayor. And I've hosted many senior government and business visitors from countries right here in London. However, many of you know that the city, because of its long relationship with Arab countries. For example, only 2 weeks ago, we hosted at the Mansion House the 120th anniversary of the Anglo-Kuwait Treaty, a testament to the close friendship between the UK and Kuwait, which has led to a mutually beneficial economic and political partnership. Yes, there are strong historical ties between the city and Arab countries, which are reflected in a sense of common purpose and trust. And I've experienced this directly during my 2 visits to the Gulf, where I was made to feel exceptionally welcome. And it was that atmosphere that I learned more about your traditions of hospitality, faith, scholarship, and of course business. We share strong economic links, many sustained through the business you find here in the city. And across the UK there are many joint business ventures between British and Arab partners. We are mutual investors in each other's economies and infrastructure. And the UK is the key global hub for patient capital, and here in London we finance and support hundreds of projects for the Arab world and the UK and globally. And today is all about your ambitions and how we in the UK and the city can help realise them and how we realise a shared vision. Now, most nations here have impressive and thoughtful plans for diversification and modernising their economies. And almost all of those plans put a special emphasis on energy, infrastructure, water, technology and education. And what I want to make clear today is that the UK and the city are here to be your partners in these ambitions. In the UK, you will find financial solutions to underpin mutual investment and diversification, whether that's in capital markets, where London offers unrivalled liquidity, a deep pool of international investors, world-class data and analysis, or legal services, where 350,000 strong workforce assists thousands of international clients under English law, or new businesses like fintech, green finance or cybersecurity. Indeed, whatever it is, the UK has unparalleled opportunities to aid diversification and development with the best access to capital, clients and collaborators. So take, for example, the recent £2.3 billion flotation of Dubai's Network International on the London Stock Exchange, the largest flotation on the LSE this year, the largest technology flotation on the LSE for 4 years, and the largest ever technology flotation from the Middle East. And it's a great example of combining old and new strengths, of combining London and Arab businesses. So we're proud in the city to be closely aligned with UK priorities and UK government. And I'm delighted to have heard from Minister of State for Trade Policy, George Hollingbery. I don't personally want to dwell on Brexit, but I will say this about it. It is masking the sheer scale of innovation taking place here in the UK, whether that's in life sciences, the automotive sector, AI, quantum computing, and financial and legal tech. And in the City of London, we are already looking beyond Brexit, and we are well prepared for whatever happens, with new jobs and new sectors that are evolving every day. Ladies and gentlemen, our relationships are strong and are fortified by the friendships between our countries. And as we continue to build on these relationships by concentrating on the sectors of the future, we will find that our potential will know no bounds. Long may the relationship between the UK and the Arab countries continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Final speaker on today's opening panel is His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Abdo Saeed, President of the Union of Arab Chambers and also Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Yemen Federation of Chambers and Commerce of Industry. Your Excellency.
In
the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, Assalamu alaikum. This is a distinguished opportunity to meet today in this country, which we have good relations and established relations since the last decades and centuries. In fact, this meeting is an important factor in building strong relations between the Arab world and the UK. And allow me to greet the head of the ABCCC, Baroness Simon, and also Mr. Khatib Rida, which we exceed our congratulations for taking this position. At the start of this year, in our efforts to promote the economic and political relations between the Arab world and the UK, there's no doubt that what is the ABCCC is doing since over 4 decades has established good relations and led to more openness in the trade and investment relations under the big potentials of the Arab world and Britain, which are among the most important economies in the world. And this summit today, under the organization of ABCCC in cooperation with the Arab Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and also with the support of the UK government, represented by Mr. George Holling, the Secretary of State for the Trade, and also the Director General of GCC. These values will help in promoting the relations between businessmen in the Arab world and Britain, and reduce the misleading campaigns in the Arab world. Dear guests, the concept of business is developing in a different way as a result of the big development in the world in technology and communications, which are now part of the advanced economies. And this is an important role to facilitate the trade and reduce costs and transfer of funds and activating banking and speeding up banking services. And involving big segment of the youth, who are an important factor in the economic development. And the more important is that it creates new and creative opportunities. From here, we have the importance of this meeting to reiterate the importance of business as a common factor. If the ambitions of the youth can move the development into the knowledge or information economy, the youth enjoy good expertise to be in line with the world development through involving the SMEs and supporting them and providing a safe and proper environment and for them and for the future of the creative, innovative projects. There is a real opportunity to achieve our the common interests. When Britain is going outside the European Union, which opens the door for new trade negotiations for the whole the Arab region, not only on a regional level, which means that we should have new environments, big horizons, which addresses the common interests and in between our communities and business people. So that we can overcome the negative impact on the world arena. Ladies and gentlemen, there are big factors for developing the relations between the Arab world and Britain, because the Arab region has a big population, which is nearly 400 million. And there are also the workforce, which is more than 150 million people. These factors should be exploited to change the relation between the Arab world and Britain into a strategic partnership, especially that it is now a main center for finance, and which with a total of $1.3 trillion, which promotes building new opportunities in the UK. So there should be a new strategic cooperation in the future, which will meet what our ambitions are, and I believe that we are able to do so. I hope that God will provide us with success in these efforts, and that we end up with new solutions which are in line with our common interests and looking for the future. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our distinguished speakers for their thought-provoking remarks, which I'm sure will provide lots of food for thought for the rest of today. Thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you.